having one of those days where I just want to curl up on the couch and watch TV, but also I know that that's not going to make me happy long term, so I'm filming anyways, and by golly, if there is a video that will get me excited, it's this one. Also, by golly, what's up with that? I don't know. Clearly, I've been watching too much Called Midwife. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome back to my channel. I am, as I said, despite the general lack of desire to film, over the moon excited to be filming this specific video because it is, as the title will have said, my Nonfiction November TBR. This is my second year participating. I actually didn't even know it existed until I started my Booktube channel last year, but I absolutely love it, and I have been looking out for the announcement video for so long. I've been just so excited to see what the prompts are. If you are unaware, Nonfiction November is a readathon / reading initiative hosted in November by a book olive. I will link her announcement video down below, where in general the goal is just to read nonfiction. If you never read nonfiction, maybe try picking up one nonfiction book in November. If you're a regular nonfiction reader, maybe push yourself to read a bit more than usual. Whatever you would like to do, as long as you are reading nonfiction in November, I, as I said, am just so excited about it. I like reading nonfiction in general, and before I started Booktube, I think I actually read more nonfiction than I do now. I want to take November and sort of reinvigorate my love for nonfiction, take some time to focus on some nonfiction books that I have wanted to read for a really long time, finally get around to reading them, get excited about them. I am going to read one fiction book in November because I'm hosting a read-along. I will link the announcement up here. But other than that one book, I'm aiming to only read nonfiction in November. I haven't done that in a very long time, and for the past several months my reading has, as I said, been very dominated by fiction, which is great. I love reading fiction as well, but it's time to get back to my passion for nonfiction, and I think the books that I have picked out here are going to really help me do that. Those of you who've been around my channel for a little while will know that I try and always fill TBRs from books that I already own, and that is absolutely the case for Nonfiction November. I am proud to say that every single book I picked for my TBR is already on my shelves, physically or virtually, and yeah. Let's just get into what they are, because there's only so many ways I can say I'm excited before you guys all get really bored. So the first prompt is collection, and I've actually picked two books for this prompt because I couldn't choose between them. So the first of those is The Badass Librarians of Timbuktu by Joshua Hammer. And I'm going to read part of the blurb for this one. I might do that in several of these books, just because I find it really hard to summarize nonfiction blurbs. I don't know why, I just never know what to say and explain what they're about. So, The Badass Librarians of Timbuktu. To save precious centuries-old Arabic texts from Al-Qaeda, a band of librarians in Timbuktu pulls off a brazen heist worthy of Ocean's 11. This book came out several years ago, and it's been on my radar for years, and I just never get to it. I actually bought a physical copy almost 2 years ago because I saw it on a sale rack in a bookstore, and I was like, it's meant to be. I've wanted to read this book for so long, and I picked it up in January of 2020, and I just haven't got to it yet. I can't wait. Librarians, ancient manuscripts, a real life heist. I think I have mentioned on my channel before that I love heists. I think this is going to be great, and I am so excited to read it. And the way I'm tying this back to the prompt, collection, is that it's about a collection. It's about this collection of manuscripts. I clearly had to read it. The second book that I will be reading for collection is Finding Normal: Sex, Love, and Taboo in Our Hyperconnected World by Alexa Tsoulis-Reay. This is, again, I'm going to quote because I don't know how to summarize this at all. It is an up-close tour of people who are using the internet to challenge the boundaries of what's taboo and what it means to be normal. So from what I understand, it's a collection of stories based on interviews the author did with people who in some way are engaged with the internet, and it's related to sex and love and things that might be controversial or taboo or not normal. I don't really know what I'm getting into here. I'm not totally clear if, like, when we say taboo, we mean something that would be taboo with your 60-year-old grandmother, or something that, like, a fairly open-minded 20-something would find taboo, I will report back. But either way, it sounds really interesting, and I have an e-arc from NetGalley. One of the lamps just went off. I'll be right back. That should be better. As I said, I have an arc of this, and it comes out in, I think, January of 2022, so I've still got a few months to read it and review it before it comes out, but I'm just really intrigued. The title, the cover, the description, everything about this book sounds super interesting, and I really want to discover what it's actually about, what it's actually like, what these taboos are, how the internet fits into it all. I don't know. It sounds really cool. I'm linking it back to the collection prompt because it's a collection of stories. It sounds like each chapter sort of covers a different topic, and it's a collection in that sense. Well, yeah. As I said, I'm excited. I'm too lazy because it would take a lot of time, but I should really put like a little counter in the corner or something that dings up every time I say excited. Or maybe I just need to get a thesaurus and use all sorts of funny synonyms for excited. I don't know. Let me know what you think I should do down in the comments. The second prompt is industry. And for this one, I have chosen Revolting Prostitutes, The Fight for Sex Workers' Rights by Molly Smith and Juno Mack. This is about sex work all around the world, and as it says in the title, sex workers' rights. So from what I understand, and obviously I haven't read it yet, so I'm not sure, but my understanding going in is that it looks at the legal systems in various countries around the world, sort of what the letter of the law says, how that's implemented, and then how that actually affects sex workers, and of course the fight for and by these sex workers to increase their rights, increase their protection, all of that sort of thing. I am really intrigued. I've been wanting to read this for over a year now. I know I have mentioned it so many times on this channel already, and it's time I finally read it. And the way I'm linking it back to the industry prompt is that, well, it's sex work. It's about the sex work industry. That's a type of industry, right? I think everyone who participates in Nonfiction November loves making potentially slightly tenuous links to the prompts, and that's how they're designed, so it's so much fun. The third prompt is style, and I plan on reading Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq. This is maybe an even more tenuous link for Nonfiction November because I think it's part memoir, part fiction, part poetry. But I figure it does have a memoir component to it, so even if part of the book is fiction, I think it fits within the Nonfiction November heading, and I had to pick this one for style. There were no other options. I should tell you what it's about. It's, I think, as I said, part memoir, part fiction about growing up in northern Canada in, I want to say like the 70s and 80s maybe later, I'm not positive. Tanya Tagaq is an Inuit throat singer. I think that's what she was famous for first, and then she wrote this book, and I have seen so many things about it, and it sounds so interesting, and I bought it over the summer, and I've been dying to read it. Again, it had to go on this TBR. I'm just so glad it fit in because I think it is going to be a really unique style. From what I've flipped through, from what I've seen, from what I've heard other people say, this is not like other memoirs. It is very, very interesting in how it is written and how it is structured. If it is even half as unique as I have heard, it is going to be a shoo-in for style. And the final prompt is treatment. And for this, I have chosen The Inconvenient Indian by Thomas King, which I will introduce with another quote because, again, I have no idea how to sum up this blurb. I am so excited by it, but I have no idea how to talk about it. It says, "The Inconvenient Indian is at once a history and the complete subversion of a history. In short, a critical and personal meditation that the remarkable Thomas King has conducted over the past 50 years about what it means to be Indian in North America." This came out almost 10 years ago now, and it's one of those books that, one, I want to read because it sounds really fantastic, and also I want to read because it feels like a book I should read. Not in I feel forced to read it, but I feel like it is going to be very, very informative and just insightful and important to read, so I would really like to get to this one. It's actually the second time I've put it on a TBR this year. It was first on my TBR in June, and I was excited, but I didn't get to it. June was sort of the beginning of the epic reading slump that I'm still sort of in. That's a story for another day. But I didn't get to it in June. I've been low-key wanting to put it on a TBR, or thinking like, oh, maybe if I have time this month, I'll read it all summer and into the fall, and I think there's no better time than Nonfiction November. I'm linking it back to the treatment prompt in two different ways. First of all, it's about the treatment of Indigenous people in North America, but I think it's also a unique treatment on the history of that Indigenous settler relationship and colonization in North America. It's both about a treatment and it's going to be a unique treatment of the topic, and as I said, I have to read it. So again, I'm glad that it fits in so well. I feel like every year with Nonfiction November, the prompts, I see them and I go, yes, I have just the book that I need to read for that. And before I'm even done watching the announcement video, I've thought about everything that I want to read, and I've got it all written down because it's just always so much fun. My plan is to definitely read those 5 books. I think that should be pretty manageable. None of those is long. I think the longest of them is maybe in the 350 page range, and most of them are under 200 pages, plus they're nonfiction, so I assume some of them will have some like sources at the back and stuff, making them even shorter. But I do want to read a longer nonfiction book as well, but I didn't want to pick one for the prompts because I'd really like to finish those in November. I want to have those books be sort of like, I can read each of those in a week or less type books. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a try a chapter video towards the beginning of the month and read 1 chapter from the following books and then start it. These are all long books. These are all over 500 pages, and I don't necessarily anticipate finishing them in November. I'm going to start, but I'm totally fine if they run over into December because it can take me a long time to read long nonfiction. Since I'm going to do the try a chapter video, I'm not going to give the whole like summary introduction to these books right now. I'll do that in that video, which will be out in a couple weeks. But keep your eyes peeled because I will be doing a try a chapter of Casanova, The World of a Seductive Genius by Laurence Bergreen, The Gene, An Intimate History by Siddhartha Mukherjee, A Distant Mirror, The Calamitous 14th Century by Barbara W. Tuchman? Who knows? Also, Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen, and Chasing the Sun, the epic story of the star that gives us life by Richard Cohen. So we will see which of those I am in the mood for when I do the try a chapter. And that is what I'm going to read in November. As I mentioned, there is 1 fiction book that I'm going to be reading for my read-along that I'm hosting. It's Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. I'm very excited. Again, I will link the announcement video for that as well down below in case you didn't click on the card earlier. And if you haven't already seen it, please go check that out because it should be really exciting. But other than that 1 novel, I'm going to be reading exclusively nonfiction in November, and I'm so pumped. Jazzed? What are other synonyms for excited I could use? Any of them apply. I can't wait to dive into this TBR, and I think it is going to be so interesting. If you guys are participating in Nonfiction November, let me know down below, what book are you most excited to read? And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. If you would like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.